Welcome to DTS 75. We're talking about Sparrow Racing League and the giant weekly update talking about the spring 2016 plans for Destiny. All that and more coming up.
You're listening to Destiny the Show. Welcome, Guardians.
What's up, everybody? It's BBKDRAGOON. Ditty, how are you doing this week, man?
Doing awesome. We just put up our Christmas lights. We wrapped our banister on the balcony because we don't have a tree, but they look pretty dang awesome.
Excellent. Well, I was going to ask if you had a tree, but you already beat me to it. What'd you do this week?
A lot of work. My work role was kind of redefined, and so I've been focusing more on one aspect of the job, and I'm loving it. And that's about it. Yeah, I convinced my girlfriend, Sanic, on Monday or Tuesday, said, we can go another week without going to the grocery store.
Uh-oh.
And we barely made it, but we made it. So,
scraping by.
Yeah. I was like, we got chicken and beef in the fridge. We got beans in the refrigerator. Yeah.
You're dicing with death, dude. It's a dangerous role to take. Did you do anything in Destiny? Did you game a bit? I know a little bit of League that you and I played.
Yeah, we did a little bit of League. I also did a little bit more racing as well. Sparrow Racing League, I think, is going over very well, in my opinion.
Did you get a cool shader or two?
Oh, yeah. My first game, I got probably my favorite shader in the game right now, Crocos, I think.
Crocos.
It's purple and white, and the purple kind of has like this neon glow to it. It's awesome.
I got the Phosphor shader, and I really want, I think, two of the other ones that I can't remember their names. There's a blue and black one that looks really cool. But man, the Phosphor shader, it's my new favorite shader as well. That's pretty cool. Like,
I saw somebody with that, and I'm like, ooh, what is that shader? That looks really good.
They're dropping like candy. Have you found a horn that you like yet?
No, I haven't found any horns.
I've got like 8. I still haven't really found the right one to use my whatever item I need to use to make it legendary, the horn thingy. Well, so much news this week. I did play a lot of Sparrow Racing League as well. I think concentrated bursts is the way to do it.
Yeah.
I can't do it longer than 45 minutes at a time.
It would be really good if we could LAN our consoles together or have split screen. It would be a really good party custom game type.
Totally.
Game
Mario
for people
Kart
to play. Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking Mario Kart when I'm talking about this. But
I booted up Mario Kart 8 this week.
Nice.
So I could get some research, okay,
just
to
so
talk about our feedback. Yeah.
Just so you could pretend it was Sparrow Racing League.
No, I mean, Mario Kart, it's so good. It's still so good. Nintendo knows how to make it. Let's hop into the news because lots and lots of stuff happened this last week. Well, more like just talking stuff rather than actual action points, but let's go anyway. All right, so the weekly update had information from ERC about 2016, the beginning of 2016. It's a response mainly to the negative feedback players had over the PlayStation experience, lack of a DLC announcement. Rather, we got the Sparrow Racing League event announcement. The TLDR, the summary of it all, is for the early part of 2016, we're mainly just going to see more events like Festival of the Lost, and Sparrow Racing League. And I'm going to quote here. Eric says, the first of these early 2016 experiences will be on a scale close to Festival of the Lost. The second will be far larger than anything you've seen since the release of The Taken King. There's also another significant update to the world and sandbox planned in this same window. End quote. So, a lot of people think this is alluding to a possible raid, maybe a new strike, maybe some new story stuff, but there's a distinction between the events we're going to see in early 2016, which I would probably bet is January, February, March, and then maybe April, we're getting this far larger thing that is the biggest we've seen since the Taken King launch. How do you interpret that, Ditty, when it says the biggest thing we've had since Taken King launched?
We haven't really had a lot of things since the Taken King launched. I would say Sparrow Racing League is the largest because it added 2 new, quote, maps, racetracks, and it's a new game mode, right?
Yeah.
Trials of Osiris, we know what that is. Iron Banner, we know what that is. And nothing since Taken King, really, except for Oryx Hard Mode and the challenge modes. Those are the only things that have been quote-unquote launched since the Taken King. And when they say it's going to be far larger than anything you've seen, when they say far larger, I don't think it's just going to be a raid. Or if it's going to be a raid, it's going to be on par with King's Fall or Vault of Glass in terms of depth. Because Sparrow Racing League, yeah, it's big, I would say, medium-sized, but it's not very in-depth. You just play it, you get it, you're done. I would say this is a pretty good roadmap, Festival of the Lost type thing in, I would say, late January, early February, and then sometime in March, maybe they'll bring back Sparrow Racing League, and then sometime April or May, we get this larger event, I'll say.
Yeah, I want to quote the last bit here from Urk's statement. It says, "Just tell us exactly what you're making." And he says, "We plan to. While some of next year's festivities are designed to surprise like napalm from a newly forged dragon's breath, we'll also be rolling out pre-planned announcements on several fronts to keep you up to speed. I'd love to announce it all right now on Twitter. It would do wonders for my follower count, but since the team is currently in development on those projects, it would also be irresponsible. The team just shipped SRL and update 2.1.0 after all." So I'll stop right there. They have stuff in the works. They've given us a little bit of a roadmap. They've asked us to trust them, but it still leaves a lot of things up in the air. I'm going to add a little fuel to the fire here in the speculation realm. One of the concept artists that gets hired by Bungie, and we've seen his work here before, and I apologize I don't have your name ready because I didn't actually think I was going to use this link or reference in the show. He posted concept art for Mars, and these are pieces that we have not seen before. I sent it to Ditty earlier this week, and while you talk about it, Ditty, I'm actually going to go try and dig up his name, and I'll have that link on the website as well. But a lot of new stuff and big things in the sand.
Yeah, so think of Transformers the movie, Megatron, Decepticons, that kind of thing, just buried in the sand. What is it, the second Transformers movie, where it's the dude buried in Egypt or something?
Yep.
And, spoilers, sorry. But
that movie's been out long enough.
Yeah, oh my god, the Taken world events that spawn in randomly, like the Taken Lieutenants and then the Zealots. Think of those on Mars. It seems like one of those Zealots is buried or uncovered, but it doesn't look like a Vex because it's got two eyes. It looks like some type of, I don't know, maybe Cabal or Fallen robot. That's
to put it in perspective, he could probably grab like 25 Guardians in his hand easily, like huge hand. Maybe
10 or 15, but it's a massive robot structure that's just being unearthed or unmarsed, since it's on Mars. Would that be?
There you go. That works.
Yeah, sure. Right.
Dorje Bellbrook is the concept artist at Bungie who did this work. Now, the comments say it is unused artwork for Mars, but we'll just see if that's the case. I'm going to link this down below. You guys should absolutely check it out. I really like their concept art. It's off the chain. Back to the DLC stuff. I'm not going to set my expectations overly high. I'm looking forward to more events like SRL and looking forward to being surprised. It's a very different world we live in a year later. Around this time last year, Mega Man was at the top of his data mining game, right? Everything was data mined before it came out.
Yeah,
we were getting to the point where you
could
predict like exotics. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Mega Man is a Reddit user who was data mining tons of Destiny information around this time, but Bungie patched some of their backdoors that he was using, so he's out of the data mining game at this point, but he is a legend for Destiny Year 1.
It got to the point where we could basically know what Xur was going to sell before he sold it.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to say here, Sparrow Racing League has claimed over 12 million lives since it went live, which seems odd to me, because I have done like 30 races, and the one time I die by an enemy shooting me, it's a fallen catch going by and just one-shots me. I was in the lead too, so it's like, appropriate. That totally makes sense. Closing comments on DLC?
I would say April or May is when we see the bigger one. Yeah.
Yeah. and I think we may see a strike out of it or story elements. It will be added to the director, is one of the things that was noted. So that would give some inclination that it could. What if it's just a mission and I'm like, oh, cool. Nice mission there.
Added to the director makes it sound like it would be, best case would be another planet. I highly doubt that, though.
Can we for just a second talk about when they unlocked the moon? Can we go back into the history books of most of our listeners probably don't remember this? Well, I don't want to say that. There's actually a lot of longtime Destiny players here, but if you remembered and participated in the moon beta event, tell us on Twitter. I'd like to know. Ditty, what happened?
They unlocked the moon. We woke the hive. That's what that was.
We woke the hive. Yeah, okay. Can you give some more context? Goodness.
So for the beta, they did 5 missions on Earth, 4 or 5 missions on Earth, and at the very end, the very last weekend, Bungie unlocked the next story mission, which we now know as the Dark Beyond, which is the first moon mission, and it allowed us to explore the moon for the first time in Destiny, and it was absolutely incredible because we were like, wow, this is a huge space. The moon is massive. I can't wait to see what other things are like. What's behind this door? What's behind this door? I remember going all the way down to Fogoth's room, and it would populate the title as soon as you walked into that room, and I was like, there's something down here. Something's going to happen through that door, and it's going to be awesome. And it was Fogoth, so that was really nice.
They were testing at the time the ability to turn on and off an area. It was 4 hours, I think, that the moon was activated for. It was a small time frame. And you spent your time there, and then they turned it off. And this was all done on the live servers. I don't think we had to download a patch, did we?
No, we just had to return to orbit.
Yeah. That was cool. I would love to see them experiment with something like that again, where it's just this little small time window. You know what I'm saying?
Ships coming in and out of our galaxy. Like Oryx's ship. Just like, hey, limited time this week, we got the Darkness ship coming into the solar system. And they just turn it on and off.
I know we've complained about time-gated events before with the weapons, but I feel like this is one that the novelty of it, as long as it could be accessible again to players, would be pretty stinking cool. I just remember that moon thing. Sorry for the little diversion there. What happened with the patch in regards to auto rifles? Can we talk about that? Because there's a lot of confusion.
Oops. So they misused a decimal place. Basically, that's like the easiest way of describing it. But basically, the original patch notes that they released before the patch went live was inaccurate in some of its percentages and buffs and debuffs. So the auto rifles did not get as much of a buff as we would have liked or originally thought. So for load rate of fire, auto rifles, for example, Service Regime and Answering Chord, 0.3% increase on previous base damage. Medium rate of fire is Atlas Supercell, Paleo Contact, 0.78% increase, and high rate of fire, the Armenius D and Necrochasm, 0.04% increase in damage there.
Yeah, so the original pre-patch notes that we talked about here on the show, originally we said Zalo Supercell was going to be getting an 8% damage increase, and we both agreed, Ditty, that was insane. It's like, oh yeah, Zalo's going to be pretty rad. Mm-hmm. Oh, that was an editing typo that didn't get caught for an entire month, which is kind of funny because 0.3%, 0.78%, that's a big difference. From
it is
8%.
A really big difference, and it is kind of interesting they didn't, because everybody, all the news outlets were talking about this, you know? Everybody on Reddit, everybody like Kotaku, IGN, all those different news outlets and social media sites, they were talking about these buffs. And I remember a couple of months ago, I said, I think it's time the auto rifles made a comeback in the Crucible. And I really wanted them to be almost overbuffed because I was seeing way too many pulse rifles. And even though I had anticipated that, you know, I just wanted a little bit more diversity. And with these little tiny percentage changes, to me, it's going to be more of the feel of the weapon and not how it actually performs. So I don't think that they're that useful still, but I haven't really used auto rifles that much since the patch, to be honest.
I've just been racing Sparrow, so I can't weigh in on it either. But from the feedback I've heard, auto rifles feel pretty similar. Now, the other changes that we talked about, for the most part, I think all went through. Senior designer John Wyszynowski apologized for the error, and it's okay. That stuff happens, right? It's no big deal. So, auto rifles, do they still need a proper buff? Maybe. I would say so.
Only time will tell, to be honest, because with the pulse rifle nerfs, that's definitely noticeable. It's really noticeable in the Crucible specifically. And I think since pulse rifles were so dominant, the fact that they were brought down so much and all the others kind of stayed the same and had just a little bit of tweaks, I still think that's a good idea because it brings everything back into a level playing field. So it keeps kill times a little bit slower and longer.
Well, yeah, pulse rifles, man, they've gotten some significant nerfs. You know, maybe just enough to add an extra shot to your burst, like the Messenger, 14% base damage reduction. That means you really can't be dropping any shots, right? And the Hawksaw, 10% damage reduction. We talked about this before, you know, but I think you bring up a good point. Maybe bring some more in line and gives you a couple other choices. Hand cannon popularity might see a bit of a rise.
Meet a multi-tool.
The curse, right? First curse.
Meet a multi-tool.
I know.
First curse, yeah. First curse is actually pretty good right now because of the changes that happened to it.
Did you buy your 2 Radiant Dance machines?
From Zur. Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah. And I got the Meta as well from Blueprints.
Do you think that was a strategic choice? Because the Meta was hyped up. Been talking about the Meta, and you're like, oh, really? Radiant Dance machines? Okay. All right. All right.
Radiant Dance Machines and Nothing Manacles were on sale, I think, this last week. And I got Nothing Manacles as well, even though I've barely touched my Warlock since Taken King. I say barely, but it's still leveling up. It's still not level 40 yet, but it's still getting there. But I have the Nothing Manacles when I get there, so.
Dude, my main, I think, is now like, I can't remember what the light level is on the Warlock, but it's the high 3s, like 309, 310 or something like that. And then the Titan I got to 290, so. We're getting there.
Nice.
I know we could get a little bit closer to 320 if we hard mode raided each week, but we just don't hard mode raid all that often right now. Our crew is traveling. Australian summertime, man. They all just went on vacation. All right. What is next? Hey, Streamer Racing League. So King Gathalion on Twitch as well as Professor Broman put together a really cool event, Streamer Racing League, in which they put together a multi-Twitch layout and spectated essentially an entire Sparrow race using nothing but popular Destiny streamers. And I say popular, I think there were of varying degrees, the different people they brought in. A really cool community event. Typhoon Trav ended up winning it. There's a VOD over on King Gathalion's channel. It was a lot of fun. I thought it was cool and I wanted to talk about it just briefly and mention it because for community building, what an awesome way to do so. No, we don't have a spectator mode, but it might show Bungie what a spectator mode could do. You know, not everybody has the internet capabilities or a PC to where you could actually screen cap 6 streams at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And then to put it all together, it just was a fun event, right?
Yeah, I think so. And the way they did it was really interesting. Like you said, the multi-Twitch, and it really gets you thinking. Sparrow Racing League has a pretty good amount of potential to not necessarily go into like the competitive scene, but you could definitely do some tournaments off of this for sure. And with a type of spectator mode or custom game lobby, it would be really successful, I think.
Please, Guardian, let me help you. If you come looking for wise words, I shall try, but I ask you to turn them to action.
So Sparrow Racing, Ditty, you and I have put down a handful of races over this last week. I think it's about time we get to share our feedback upon the experience. That's how these events work. They encouraged us in the trailer or the vid doc for Sparrow Racing League to give our feedback, and we'll talk about that sentence a little bit later because I think it's an important thing. How these events are received determines if they return and, you know, how much effort and work actually goes into their return, or if they get scrapped altogether. I really like Sparrow Racing League on the surface. You know, at a cursory glance, it's cool having a multiplayer activity in Destiny that requires not a lot of intensity. You know what I'm saying?
Not a lot of gun skill. Or any gun skill.
Yeah. And it's fun. It's a good time with friends. I think the maps both play well. The shaders look incredible. The Sparrows look very cool. The gear gives you that like Tron look. I can't say I'll be wearing it outside of the racetrack because you do kind of look weird walking around the tower and that stuff. I won't lie. But overall, pretty fun event. My feedback would be, I wish there was 1 or 2 more mechanics in the player's control to just add a little bit more diversity and depth to the experience. Because as it stands, just having to hit the gates or push your opponent out of the way leaves you not doing a whole lot of stuff. Going back and playing Mario Kart 8, the items, right? The items are a huge factor in Mario Kart. They shake things up, and they're designed in a way that if you're in 8th place, you're going to be given more opportunities to advance up the ranks and make it a tight race. Whereas in Sparrow Racing League, if you're at the back of the pack, yes, you get the widened gates, but is that really enough to keep a lot of tight racing? I don't know. I've had some tight races before, but I wish there was 1 or 2 more things that I could do that had a skill curve within the race itself. Maybe more shortcuts, maybe some kind of super usage. It had to be modified supers, but just a couple of things, right?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with the Mario Kart items comparison. I would love to see anything that would, maybe like, what's it called? The gravity hammer from Halo. Something like you could just whip out of your back pocket and just smash on the ground to screw somebody up next to you. Something like that would be really funny and interesting to add to the game. More customization, not really customization, but different mechanics in the racing. I think more shortcuts on more maps. I think that's a really important one. More maps is going to be, or racetracks, we should say, is going to be really important in the longevity of Sparrow Racing League. And I'm sure they realize that, we can't just race on this Venus and Mars map over and over and over again every single time for the next year. More maps would be awesome. Maybe on the Dreadnought, Saturn's Rings, that would be really cool. I would also say there was a glitch a while back and that they fixed it sometime in early year 1 Destiny. You could use your golden gun while sparrowing. Like if you activated your golden gun and then hop on a Sparrow at some time, you can shoot your golden gun and it would be hilarious. You would just be on your Sparrow and you would just shoot people. It was awesome. It didn't happen in the Crucible. I didn't see it in the Crucible. It was somebody did it on Mars. But I think something like that would be awesome. Mayhem Racing. Let's do it. I would love to see Guardians zooming along like this straightaway, and all of a sudden you see this Warlock just jump off his Sparrow and shoot a Nova Bomb at you. That would be so funny.
Maybe if you're at the back of the pack, those boost gates give you a little bit more boost, because if you are taking people out with supers, the spread of players is going to get pretty drastic. You just get Nova Bombed into oblivion. How do you catch up, or how do you make it a tight race so it's not a runaway?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Exactly. It's got to be, they got to add something to make it more fun, even though it's already a lot of fun.
It's a great start. It's more fun than Festival of the Lost was. I just hope the January event or February event is something gameplay related, whereas Festival of the Lost didn't really add much aside from cool decorations, cool masks, and here's some items that you can work towards, but there was no new activity involved with it. You remember the original Queen's Wrath event? There was really no new activity. It just was
modified story missions.
Yeah. So we'll just have to wait and see. I want to mention something here. How well we support these events will directly impact future events, and that's something they talked about in the vid doc. So our feedback matters for these events, but I'm curious, what part of that feedback is us voicing our opinions, and what part of that feedback is how successful are the microtransactions? Because I have problems with the microtransactions with Sparrow Racing League. And when I say problems, not, oh my gosh, I'm done with this game, but rather, I'm not going to buy a $10 record book. Are you kidding me? Like, I know there's some cool gear attached with that, but that's not worth $10. At the same time, too, if you want to buy one of those really cool Sparrows, and trust me, they look awesome, 500 silver, so $5. But here's the thing, you don't get to pick. You're buying a package and you get a random chance of one of those. It's a guaranteed Sparrow from SRL, but you don't actually get to pick it. You just have to pay $5, and it's luck of the draw what you get. Why on earth would you not let me choose which Sparrow I want. I did not buy anything during this event because I don't like these microtransactions. We talked in the pre-show. I think $5 seems pretty steep for a Sparrow when Dark Below is 20 or a House of Wolves is 20. 25% of that? I get it. Cosmetics, they don't have to be the same price value ratio as some DLC expansion. But in an ideal world, if I could pick which Sparrow I wanted and it was 200, maybe 300 silver, there's a high likelihood I would support that because I think these Sparrows look great, but I'm not going to do this random grab bag. Am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. And with any microtransaction, real world currency that you're using, you expect to get what you want. And with any type of RNG associated with that, that's going to cause problems. I would agree.
Square Enix sent me an email this week. They're like, hey, just buy our $10 holiday bag. It has $80 worth of stuff in it, but you don't know what's in it. And so I'm like, okay, no.
$80 worth of bottled water is, it's useful, but it's not really what you want. Like, I could have a better internet for $80 for a month. I mean,
I don't like that. For some things, like a Hearthstone pack, I get it. I've got a chance at getting a rare legendary, those kind of things. But I don't like seeing that philosophy adopted all over the place, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so how well these events are supported then, let's play this theory out in terms of their budget being impacted for future events. If microtransactions do not sell well for SRL, will that affect the budget of a January event? If so, this is a crazy experiment they're running with Destiny Year 2. And the live team has a lot of pressure on their hands if their budget for each of these events is fluctuating and is directly impacted by the previous event's microtransaction success, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be like it's going to directly impact the next event. I think 2 events are going to be in production at the same time, and then the third event is dependent on the first event. And then something like that, I don't think it's really going to... I really hope it doesn't change the quality of the content, but it could. It's possible.
Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. Destiny Year 2, or I guess 2016, is looking to be very... what would you say? Interesting, unique, experimental.
Peculiar. Yeah.
Peculiar. Now, wrapping up this, I have a lot of fun racing Sparrows. I don't know if you've gotten into a lobby with friends yet, but it is ridiculously fun when you push somebody out of the way. Or those moments where you set up a juke. This jerkwad is trying to slam you out of the gate. And so you just... maybe let off the thrust a little bit, or you use your side booster and you watch him slam into the wall as he misses you. That is the greatest feeling in the world. Vice versa, there's a lot of random physics junk that happens that is not the greatest feeling in the world. The Mars man cannon has shot me like 90 degrees sideways before. And it's like... Lakitu has to come pick you up, the little guy on the cloud. Yep. It's, I don't know, pretty fun. Closing comments on SRL.
A lot of fun. We need more maps, I would say, racetracks. And I really, really want to say quickly, I'd like to see in not next SRL, I would like to see a PvE event of this caliber.
Yeah.
Not like Festival of the Lost, but something in the PvE realm of this caliber.
A quest, a mighty quest with voice acting. More Cade. More Cade. Searching for more of his stashes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, let's do that.
I saw a picture of a wine bottle that they had. Bungie, somebody there tweeted it, and it was Cade Stash wine. And I can't remember the little hook line, but it was pretty rad. Before we close the show, we should probably mention the SRL record book exploit, because somebody on Twitter will tell us, you didn't mention the exploit. Okay, so the record book you could actually complete without purchasing it. When you inspected the item, you could literally get all the rewards without having to spend the $10. Bungie figured it out pretty quick, and what they did is they made all the gear for those of the people who did that exploit. All that gear that you got, you can't actually equip. So it's kind of A unique fix, a weird workaround, right?
Yeah.
All right. Where can people find your content, man?
Twitter.com/Ditty, DTS, DITTY, DTS, and YouTube.com/Wooshness, WOOOSHNESS.
Excellent. Remember, you can check out our friends over at DestinyTracker.com, the best place to track your stats in the Destiny universe. Go to our website, DestinyTheShow.com, for all the links from today and more. Follow us on Twitter, @DestinyTheShow. Oh my gosh, I just remembered we have a Facebook Ditty, and we have not been posting our shows over there for forever. I'll try and fix that this week. You can follow me on Twitter @BBKDRAGOON, as well as on YouTube. Thanks for listening. Have a good week, and we'll talk with you next time.